Lawn bowling is more than just a game. There's no talking on the green.
Genuine 1972 prices.
There's nothing this soft. Stick it right up.
Welcome to Without Bias. Brought to you by Apia. We're all about possibilities. Talk to our dedicated specialist today. And The Bowl Show. Stay engaged with the sport via The Bowl Show. Sundays on 7/2 from 2 p.m.
It is fantastic to be back. Welcome to Without Bias. Right around Australia, it's all with thanks to The Bowl Show. Sundays on 7/2 from 2 p.m. You can stay engaged with the sport via The Bowl Show. Things are starting to get back to normal. From an international standpoint, not yet. We'll have to wait until 2021 for that. But local bowling greens around the country are starting to see punters back out there, both competitive bowlers, barefoot bowlers, and a whole lot more. So it's a good time to be back, and it's a very, very good time to welcome one of Australia's finest, Barrie Lester, who has joined me back as a co-host. Baz, it gives me an enormous amount of pleasure to say that. Good evening.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Yeah, it's always been I guess it has a special part of me Without Bias, considering we did it so many years ago, got it off the ground, and it's really gone worldwide, the fact that people have been able to download on the podcast and go back and listen to many episodes that we've put together. So it's great to be back, mate.
We're going to talk to Brett Hughes a little bit later on. He's a regional bowls manager for Greater Sydney. But tell us what you've been doing today, first and foremost. We had the Melbourne Cup earlier in the day. We can still hear a bit of music in the background. What's your day look like?
Yes, I had the pleasure of emceeing our sort of Melbourne Cup carnival here today. We start off about 11 o'clock. We've had fashions of the field. We've given out prizes. We've had sweeps. We've had a mobile cocktail company come in and do heaps of different cocktails. So we've got a really good group here, enjoying some really good food. We had different platters available, so it's been a great day. And Barefoot Bowls has been a winner as well. Plenty of people out barefoot bowling, as well as trying to pick a winner. I
spoke about the fact that bowls is back. Obviously in Queensland, where you're based now, it's been back for a little bit longer than what it has in Victoria and other parts of the country. How have you found it? How have bowlers found it of all levels getting back out on the green?
Yeah, well, back in July when Pennant was meant to start, we all sort of got together and decided it's probably not best, especially with some of the teams that play in the Queensland Pennant on the other side of the border. We speak of sort of South Tweed and Tweed Heads, so that didn't go ahead. But the state championships have just concluded, and myself, I went up to Cairns over the last 4 or 5 days and played an event where they broke up the state into South and North, and both teams played against each other. But yeah, there's been enough bowls for people to sort of stay active, and it wasn't a case of that we wanted it all straight away. Everyone was very conscious of going back and playing bowls in the new environment. We're very conscious of sanitising all our equipment and keeping our social distance, and yeah, we're definitely not taking it for granted at any stage.
Now, I follow along, obviously, all of your social media, and there's always something happening on your Instagram, which I love, but you've been in far north Queensland. What's been going on there? What have you been up to?
Yeah, so my first flight was a bit different last Thursday. So yeah, flew out of Brisbane. My first flight since February. So it was interesting. So yeah, wore the mask. It was great to see everything heavily sanitised, and it was different and new, but it was good to get up into Cairns. I'd never been that far north before, and it is highly recommended. We had the Gold Coast Suns boys come and play a bit of barefoot a few weeks ago, and they said that they were the same. They were actually excited to get out, see a bit more of Australia, get up to Darwin and Port Douglas, etc. So yeah, we're lucky to play in a place called Mossman, about an hour north of Cairns, and it's just God's country up there, and there's so much to see and do, and very lucky to play bowls up there for a couple of days and visit some clubs doing some community work and some primary schools. How is the sport going in that particular part of the country? It's your centre of your community, bowls clubs. Yeah. You know, I went to a place like Yungaburra. You know, the bowls club's just near the pub, which is always handy. And you can stumble from either one from one to the other. But you're just a great, beautiful country town, great people, and everyone loves to get out and play. And they've got some really wonderful facilities up there with greens under roofs, with lighting, artificial, and yeah, just seeing bowls club be the centre of town and a place that people can get out and have a good time, and yeah, it's pretty healthy up there, and they've got some really good support from the state and regional sort of government and councils, so that helps a lot as well.
the North versus South series, I was sort of following along a little bit on Bowls Australia's Twitter platform, and as I mentioned, your socials and a couple of others involved, but it was a bit of a unique kind of format. Tell us more.
Yeah, so they just selected sort of the best 12 men and 12 women from the corresponding South or North teams, and they broke it up, and a large amount of our team was sort of Brisbane and Gold Coast. And for them, well, they could go as far north as they like. So, from Townsville to all up around those parts. So they had some really good players, some players that I'd seen before around the traps. And I was pretty lucky to play 3 to Aaron Sheriff and alongside some other, really high-level players. So, yeah, it was 2 tests on the Saturday of 21 ends and one on the Sunday morning. And the women were one all going into the last, and they got up on Sunday, and we were lucky enough to get the win 3-0. So really good undercovered green, good surface. They live streamed it, and we were just treated like kings and queens up there because they love to see any high level bowls they can, and the fact that we could travel to the country, because I've always been a big one of trying to get out to the country areas and provide as much elite exposure as you can get. They really did enjoy us being there as much as we enjoyed being there.
I know I spoke to Karen Murphy a few months ago now about the tour that her and Steve Glasson did to go to bushfire-affected and relief-affected clubs and see how they're rebuilding. And Kaz sort of spoke about the fact that, when Australian players come to town, that it's very much a learning experience for the locals, and that they're really desperate to pick your brains and to talk about the sport and the things you do. Did you find that? Yeah,
and I was always going to be flying up Saturday with the rest of the team and flying out Sunday night, and because I've never been to that area, I reached out to Bowls Australia, Bowls Queensland, and their local regional bowls manager, and just said, can I help in any way? And I ended up being up there Thursday lunchtime and visited 4 or 5 clubs in a couple of schools. And they did, it was great. I took along a couple of little prized possessions of mine, a Commonwealth Games medal and an Australian shirt and stuff, and just spoke about, to the kids and to the clubs about, we drive as hard as we can as athletes and players to, do our best for our country, and it's good to come back to clubs all around our country and say g'day and just get back to basics and see if we can give them some tips on, might not always be on how to deliver a bowl better, but might be a couple of things with their barefoot bowls or social media or anything like that we've learned in our travels that maybe we've learned at our clubs. And they loved having us, and it was, for me, it was a real eye opener because I'd never seen that part of the world, and it was, a lot of it was grassroots, which is a huge part of bowls and its success.
In speaking of success, Queensland very much the hub of bowls in Australia right now, and particularly with different restrictions that each state has and whatnot. It's going to be next year as well with international competitions, which we'll talk about in the next few weeks. But are you starting to find it at your club and others that there's Christmas functions and social gatherings like that are starting to really come back now?
Yeah, I think early days, especially when there was a lot more restrictions in place in terms of the sitting down to eat and drink, in that we noticed a lot of people would come down to the Bowls Club because they could actually stand outside and have a drink and, have a bit of a barefoot and just be outside. And I think that's one thing Victoria is definitely going to, not that they don't already do a lot of it, I think they'll do more of it moving forward. There'll be a lot more beer gardens, a lot more outdoor eating areas and pop up, because it's with sort of COVID and the new times, it just feels a little bit more safe for everyone to be outside, and hence the reason, on my flight the other day, everyone's sort of wearing a mask, and the big winner is no one's sick. Around Queensland, no one's got a cough or a sneezing, or no one's flu-y, because of the sanitising, of the social distancing and doing the right thing. All the other little health issues have gone out the door as well. So it's a bit of a pat on the back for everyone, the fact that, yes, okay, COVID is the main issue, but there's a lot of other things that are being rewarded for everyone's effort. But yeah, bowls is it's going to be a very popular sport over the summer, outdoor, and just keep doing the right thing, sanitise your equipment, and plenty of signage and information for everyone, because it's a new experience.
That's good to hear. Baz, we've got plenty more to come. We're going to talk Jack Attack, I should say, up next. We'll talk about what's going on at regional bowls level in Greater Sydney as well. Brett Hughes has been doing some outstanding work, and he'll join us next. Don't forget, you can stay engaged with the sport via The Bowl Show, Sundays on 7/2 from 2 p.m.
From the wide outdoors to the great indoors, this is Without Bias.
Brought to you by Apia. We're all about possibilities. Talk to our dedicated specialist today. And The Bowl Show. Stay engaged with the sport via The Bowl Show. Sundays on 7:2 from 2 p.m.
Welcome back to Without Bias. It's all with thanks to The Bowl Show. Sundays on 7:2 from 2 p.m. Right now we're taking a look at the Australia versus the rest of the world series from 2019. A fantastic series that it was, and we've still got some really, really good matches to come in that one. Baz, do you think we'll see more of that type of format, more Australia versus the rest of the world scenarios?
I think so. You know, I must admit, looking at other sports over the years when they do that kind of stuff, you have to look at the state of origin coming up from a sort of a state level. Yeah, it's always good to see them get together, and yeah, I think it probably has even extra room to grow in terms of a name age, you know, sort of an under 18, under 25 or something like that, or you can go down a track with disability or something. But yeah, I loved it, and yeah, very, very good initiative.
As is Jack Attack. Jack Attack has been such an outstanding initiative, as you very well know, Baz, at club level all around the country. It's getting younger people involved in the sport. It's making a fast, easy, fun format to everyone to get involved in, and it's helped change clubs. There's no doubt about that, and certainly in Greater Sydney it's been a huge success. Brett Hughes is the Regional Bowls Manager for that area and joins us here on Without Bias. Brett, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, Jack and Baz. How are you?
Hey, we're great. For those listening tonight who maybe aren't that familiar with Jack Attack, just from your perspective, just step us through the very basics of it.
Yeah, so look, Jack Attack's basically the shorter format of the game. So 2 sets of 5 ends with a power play. So if it's 1 set or we go into a power play to determine the winner. The game goes for roughly about an hour and 20 minutes. And what the game's basically based at is trying to get, I suppose, younger people or new people into the game. People that might be a little bit time poor, and people that may have played barefoot bowls or seen bowls, but haven't got the time to get into a club and play a game of tennis. So just a way of introducing them to the game.
It's kind of rolling with the times, isn't it? Because all sports, cricket and netball, and everyone's looking for a shorter format, Brett, because we're just all struggling with time, aren't we?
Well, it is, Jack, and that's the thing that both parents work now. Grandparents looking after grandkids, and people are time poor. But what I have seen, especially in my area in Sydney, is a big, a lot amount of people, younger people, so people that play soccer, coming towards their end of the career, cricket, netball. We just had a tournament at Gaimea where we had 18 sides, so 56 non-bowlers taking the greens for 4 weeks, and they absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic event.
And Brett, how big a role does social media and sort of a good website information these days come into play when trying to promote an event like Jack Attack to the various demographics?
It's so important. Everybody's on social media now. It's the way of the future. Even I think grandparents, they're on Facebook to watch the grandkids and grandparents, but a lot of the younger people just they're always on the website, Twitter, Facebook. So for clubs that are looking to get new members and get new people just visiting their club, they really need to look at different forms of advertising, and definitely social media has become a big part with the bowls world.
Do you find it's one of those experiences, Brett, where word of mouth plays a big role too? Someone has some fun, they tell a mate or they tell another family that, geez, we took the kids down and we had a blast the other night, and they go, and it sort of, from there, things start to grow even further?
Definitely. I could give DY as a perfect example. DY, they had a 4-week competition. They're actually running a 5th week now for a final series, and after the first week, we got another four teams that wanted to come and play, and that was just from word of mouth. So it does play a big part, but definitely social media is the big one, Jack. You just staggered with how quickly it's grown and how much it's taken off, Brett. I mean, it doesn't feel like that long ago that we were rolling the Jack Attack program out across Australia, and here we are now. It really doesn't surprise me. If you have a look at our social bowls and barefoot bowls, it is increasing dramatically. There's more people playing the game than what we've ever had before. So it was a matter of finding a format of the game where we could connect to the social person and the barefoot bowler about how to come and play the game of bowls. And if you look at most clubs, it doesn't matter whether it's in Sydney or Bazard in his area up in near Burleigh, barefoot bowls is massive. A bit of music playing and a couple of drinks, and it's something that all the family can go and do. So, no, it really hasn't surprised me. I think it's only going to get bigger.
And Brett, how important and I know not every club around Australia has lights, and I know some clubs out there desperately want them, but just by having, I guess, the different demographics, the different age groups, the different people coming out and giving bowls a go, by having them come down, how does it sort of help you moving forward when applying for grants or trying to get any local support?
Yeah, look, it does. It plays a big part because when governments are looking for who they're going to give the grants to, they look at whether the place is a community hub and how it's going to benefit the community. So it's massively important to show that your club's not just about the bowlers. We have many clubs around Australia that do work with people with disabilities, do work with different cultures. They're a community hub. They're not just a bowling club, and it is so important for bowling clubs now to be seen as a community hub, and most of them are.
So, Brett, in closing, what would you say if there was a club listening anywhere around Australia tonight who haven't taken Jack Attack up or maybe haven't pushed it as hard as what they could have so far? What would you say to them? What advice would you give to them in terms of the benefits?
Look, I would tell them to get straight onto their RBM, their Regional Bowls Manager. We're covered all around Australia. There is a great market out there for clubs to get potential people walking through their door and potential members. Any person that walks through your door is an opportunity, for your clubs, for a birthday party, for a christening, a wake. It's so important that we open our doors. So any club out there, that hasn't approached Jack Attack, please call your Regional Bowls Manager. We got some funding through a government grant through participation. And the RBM can help the club out. They can set the program up for them and introduce them to the people in their community.
It's fantastic to see that it's working, and it's working so quickly, which I think is a huge result for bowls around the country. Brett, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it, and keep up the good work. Regional Bowls Managers are so important for the sport going forward, so well done.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Appreciate it.
Brett Hughes joining us. He's a Regional Bowls Manager for the Greater Sydney area, Barrie, which, as you know, there's some fantastic clubs with great views that we talk about regional clubs being the heartland, but for metro clubs, particularly in that Sydney area, they're such a social centre point, aren't they?
Yeah, and you have to go back to when sort of barefoot bowls sort of first came about. It was all the things that, people didn't have, uniforms and all the stuff that maybe got in the way. And now that you don't need much other than just getting down to your local club and be prepared to pick up a bowl and, and maybe head to the bar, like there's not much really to it. And that's where bowls clubs are, that local community hub. And there aren't really many rules in place at all, which is always a good start for the visitor. And Jack Attack really ticks all the boxes, and it's, like you say, been a great initiative. And it's, I'm not sure how many years we're in now, but it's been a successful initiative.
Is it funny the way you just said it then? It does sound so easy, doesn't it? Like you literally just need to turn up, take your shoes off, and have a bowl.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be more than that, because we want clubs to continue to grow, more members, more participation. And as Brett touched on before, if you don't have lights, well, if you can show that you're doing all the right things, maybe you can lobby for some funding and get your lights in, and then you can even have bigger opportunities to provide that community hub feel.
Before we let you go, I mentioned off the top of the show tonight, it's great to be back. Not just good to be back, it's great to be back. That international competition is sort of on pause, at least until the end of this year, and it looks like probably BPL, Bowls Premier League, that is, early next year might be our first event. How are you going, just starting to sharpen yourself back up again with your skill set?
Yeah, it's probably the hardest one is trying not to peak at too early or different stages. It's trying to keep your hand in, but also because I've bowled a lot the last sort of 6 weeks, I'm probably looking at the moment for a week off, maybe 2 weeks off, where I can just have a bit of a spell. So, and then really try and set out that timeline. So knowing what your training looks like, maybe increase the cardio, maybe do a bit more swimming, etc. And then even always keep looking to improve your game. Surround yourself with some other players, trying to get together with, a Kelsey or Lindsay and Aaron, these kind of guys, and just keep sharpening your skills. And then whenever, and hopefully it's soon, we can try and get out for a camp or a potential Trans-Tasman or something. Know that you're ready to go and you've sort of timed your run right.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it, and it's going to be an enormous 2021. Baz, thanks for being with us tonight. As always, we're going to catch up with you every week, which I'm absolutely ecstatic about, and enjoy the rest of your night. It sounds like everyone's having a pretty good time at Burleigh Heads.
Yeah, a few cocktails and not too many winners on the cup, unfortunately. But yeah, always a good vibe here and loving my time. And thanks for having me back on Without Bias.
Absolute pleasure. We'll catch up with Barrie Lester next week. We'll catch up with you next week as well. And don't forget, you can stay engaged with the sport via the Bowl Show Sundays on 7-2 from 2 p.m.